Ooh! Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're taking a look at D.LEAGUE. This is round 3, very first match, DYM Messengers versus avex ROYALBRATS. This is going to be really fun. We know last round, I'm taking a look, I got my notes here. It looks like DYM Messengers and ROYALBRATS both lost their matches, and ROYALBRATS lost in a shutout. So they both have some redeeming to do, meaning they really want to get some points on the board for themselves, especially Messengers, because the very first time that they competed was last round. So I'm very hopeful and excited to take a look at this match. I do not know who won, but I do have just the list of who's against who. So this is going to be really fun. We're going to take a look at each one, do an analysis, then I'm going to take my guess of who I think took audience, as well as who I think the judges picked, and then we're going to look at the judges' commentary to see if I'm right, and any extra sprinkling of comments that they have in regards to the round, and we're going to be here for it. So let's go ahead and take a watch. They are straight through and through. God, I love their movement quality. Yes. Yes. Nice. Ooh. Freeze frames on that was sick. Woo! That was cool. Those sidewalks were sick on the syncopation on that. Oh my God, that was clean! Y'all saw that, right? My goodness gracious. Yes. They're improving a little bit more on their arm range for sure. Still need a bit of refinement in that area on the choreographic toolkit side. That was really enjoyable. Let's go ahead and take a dial back and watch it from the top. I almost started ROYALBRATS, and we can't have that yet. We gotta talk through Messengers. Okay, from the top here. I love how they started and they finished in the same formation. Super fun. Also, I'm going to say probably about every round, I love the fact that we have self-produced music. It just allows more liberties for it just allows even playing fields for everybody, truly. And I'm such a fan of that because in so many different competitive circuits, it's so hard to either find objective adjudication structures or schemas in how you would adjudicate, as well as just the follow-through of rules and regulations. That's why I personally really like HHI, and I choose to still want to be with HHI, is because rules and regulations are actually followed through and enforced, and we're encouraged to do so. You know, we're and we also are able to, we adjudicate appropriately, and we don't, and we're not nice to a group because of a name. It's you get the score that you get, and you earn that score. And that's what makes me have a sense of pride behind being in within the organization the way that I am, which is why, you know, I gotta rep it at times. There's other, you know, every organization has their pros and cons, and for me, at least on the adjudication side, they definitely are serving more pros and cons for show. So just wanted to let you guys know that that's what I like about D.LEAGUE, is that even though some of the justification is on the subjective side, I really like the format of the actual competition. It definitely sets things up to be more objective, because everybody's music, no one's heard any of their music, all the sets are new, meaning like you're not having any spoilers with this, you know. Everyone gets a new experience, and we get a lot of rounds, and I just think that's just it's just so fun. Okay, from the top here, I love that they pick the energy, they build it up. I love the branch away on this. Each one gets to have their own moment to dive. And it was also interesting the choices they made. They didn't just peel it around. They all made different choices. We're having somebody from stage right, then stage left, and then a couple on stage right, things like that. I really love that. Bring it in. Explosion of energy. So freaking full. God, I love it. Freestyle moment. Notice that they have to be as still as possible. They are kind of shifting their weight ever so slightly. I love, they just had so many moments that just made it look so clean. It's really nice to see. Energy of that, I love that with the split, with the drop down, great. And they're choosing to build up the energy on the outside to properly frame. Super fun. Then we're going right there into the add-on. This is what I'm talking about, improvement of range of the arms. I love seeing that. I think that's really important to have in a choreographic toolkit context. If you want to win audience vote, that's something that your audience is going to be naturally looking at. Yes, they appreciate essence, but they appreciate cleanliness more a lot of times. It just depends on who your audience is. Also, I know they're kind of the lower man on the totem pole in terms of popularity, and I know a lot of these groups advocate on the popularity side. So a lot of these people that are here, fans, they're operating more at a deficit on their fan base compared to most of the other groups. So they want to make sure, they want to try to get that fan vote, you know, and that audience vote. And for me, I'm going to look at it from the lens of who would I pick personally, because fan vote a lot of times isn't as objective as your judges should be, and that's fine. And an audience member plays a different role than somebody who's adjudicating. So I think that's totally fine. Love the energy here. I love that they chose to add more people in this. Then they went from, so they actually did 4, added 1 person on, and then they continued with the switches, added your 5th in the back. Really love that. Nice turn to get everybody on the same page. I would say my 3 in the back didn't quite get on the same page as well as the first 2 on the add-on did. So that would be my in general note about that. I love the whirlwind projection of the transition. This right here was really fun, but notice that one of them has a little bit more liberty in his range versus the other. He feels a little bit more stiff. So that would just be a note to get them to refine how they're executing, where their energy is coming from, because they're executing the same move, but it looks a little different. Is that their goal? Possibly. But I really like the choice, but if you want it to look like squeaky clean, which is what makes some choreographies very captivating, there is beauty in synchronicity, but their essence of individuality is so captivating too, that you can kind of swing either way. Honestly, they would be unstoppable if they had their synchronicity at the level of most of the other groups, but they still maintain the essence. What a beauty and a beautiful sight to behold. That's honestly going to be something I look out for with them. It's going to be really fun. Dropping it down, yeah, so notice here that my guy that's on stage left or on our right side, how he hit it, he was able to rebound and recover a little bit faster than his counterpart, and you could tell just based on how they were teeter-tottering until they dropped. But I absolutely love the freeze frame moments of this. This section was so sick, how they ended up in a freeze. I just love that, how the holds are abstract, and it ups the difficulty in how you choose to frame your features, and I absolutely love what's happening over here. Having your 2 a moment, a little bit of isolations, love that, and then having others bleed in within. Now we're creating little level moments with the hops, love this, with the groove, ooh. Now notice, this part is very effective, more effective than if they started out with this, because they were able to demonstrate that they understand how to dance together. And that's something that you have to prove every single time you do a set or a piece, because you don't know who's looking at you for the first time, right? So you never want to assume, oh, they know what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. You know, just because they're on D.LEAGUE, sometimes we have off days. Everybody can experience an off day. So far, they've done a fantastic job. All of the groups have done a fantastic job. Even if they have an off day, they're owning it nonetheless. And every single routine, and I mean every, has been captivating in its own way. And that's why I love this league, is that everybody's good. It's so good to have winners win against other winners. It's just fun, you know, and it feels like such a good time, and it makes me enjoy the analytics because everybody's good and it's anybody's game. It really is. But this section here, because you notice they showcase more individuality in their upper body, that's beautiful. But because they were able to showcase to the range justification between everybody together, it helps us appreciate this section a little bit more, versus if they didn't really do this and they just continued to go on their merry way in this way, we wouldn't be able to appreciate it, and we would be running into similar issues as to why they didn't get audience vote from last round. And why Valueless Infinities took it is because that's something that they had one up on with DYM, which was the synchronicity within the upper body. And that was something that they really needed. Love this. Notice with the range too that some of them are choosing to hinge it just a little bit more so than others. So that would be something to refine as a group. The switchovers was really nice. Some people chose to go lower, some chose to stay a little bit up, so that would be something to also fix too. Make it very clear what your levels are for that, but you can still carry the presence and essence of the choreo. Love this. So everybody went away, had that little kip up. Beautiful way for everybody to just come up. That was super clean. All coming back to the stage. Absolutely love this energy of this. Now they're supposed to, you can tell they're supposed to do the same thing because of the lower body. Right? That right there, that little sidewalk, do-do-do-do, and syncopation with the house steps, that was gorgeous. Absolutely adored that section. I just wish that they were similar in how they presented their texture in their pocket. That would have really made that just be wild. You know, a great example, if you watch Street Dance China Season 6, Pop & C and Iris is a great example of essence being carried over between the two, and they matched and collaborated very well because how they carried their pocket of energy within their popping really helped with the story that they were trying to tell. It was one of the choreography missions. That would be my note that I would give them, that I would love to see long term, for sure. Now the energy, love that switch. That was super dope. That right there, very difficult to do some of these sequences. It's very difficult. So I'm very impressed with the fact that they're able to hold it down so well. Like it's nothing for them. Love this energy here. The switch of the track, really nice. It creates a different pocket. And I love the energy that she's bringing. Love that. More like a rubber band. That was sick. How she goes and she hits, boom, and everybody freezes. Really smart choice on their part to do that. Everybody goes in. I love this hinge back. Notice one of them, he chose to have more liberties with his upper body. If he made more of a moment out of it, I think that would have been fine. But because he didn't, kind of feels like it's just unnecessary movement happening. And somebody else chose to do that too. So that'd be my general note. Love the pops, really nice with the switch. Notice one of them took a little too much. There's just too many variants happening when we know everyone's supposed to be doing the same thing. These three did something a little bit different, but they were all different enough to where we know they're not trying to do the same thing, right? Hitting it around. That part would have looked super sick if everybody was together. I think that's my overall note. It's supposed to be unison choreo. Notice some of them are a little bit more restrictive. Some are really forcing it, really focusing more on the arms. Some are really focusing on the chest. So that would be something to clarify as a group. Just with choreography cleaning, that's a tricky thing. This is really tricky to get this type of style clean, which is why you don't see it very often, right? But when you see it clean, my God, it, like I said, unstoppable. It truly is. And so whenever you see, like, my suggestion would be just clarifying, where's my energy coming from? It's coming from my torso. Is it coming from my arm? It's coming from my shoulder. Where is it coming from? Where am I looking? Am I looking at the hand right here? Am I looking forward? Am I looking downcast? So those would just be little details that really refine your cleanliness. That can go a lot, like, it can take your routine further. The pull through, I love that, having somebody outlier in the outside and then causing a reaction, really pushing into people. Super fun to see, and I love how they pulled other people to a different spot of the formation, pulled them in. I absolutely love it, and they chose to freeze frame it. I love that too. He goes back and he hits back into it as well. A little freak out moment. I'll break out into to do their own thing. Here we go, right back into it. Love the energy on this. Diving through. Now, this was what was interesting. These two chose to do something very similar, but my guy right here just completely fell out. All of that would have been fine if everybody made very distinctly different moments. That would have carried a lot better. But notice these two, they do the same thing with the kicks, but he just drops down and has his own moment. So that's just my general note. And then you have your two in the back do the same thing. A little bit of light feet influence. They're all vibrating, using their hands, some are not. So that would just be, I kind of feel like we started cleaning, but we didn't quite get all the way through. It's like, okay, let's just do this choreo, or let's just do this set. It feels like he's very much off, not really on his balance, or how he's carrying his torso is a little different than everybody else. Notice that, right? So he comes up a little late. He doesn't even use his hinge at all. But then they hinge it near the end. I love that. Boom, boom, June. Then we're choosing to do a nice little moment peel around. That's gorgeous. Somebody in the center, and then they center it up. That was really strong, really fun. Judges, the judges so far, at least in the last round, they really, really like DYM and their essence and their presence. And they they care more about the performance and presentation of the authenticity of the style over synchronicity and skill sets and switching between the textures. So I'm very curious as to what Avex is going to bring. Because, you know, for me, there's a good chance that Royal Brats knows how to win an audience vote and they have a bigger following, but I don't know if they'll be able to get judges. I'm not sure. Their last round was so captivating, but they were up against Katakawa, and Katakawa had my personal favorite routine. When it comes to superior, like if I would give a superior rating to musicality, I would have given it to Katakawa's set. That was phenomenal. But let's go ahead and check it out with Royal Brats. Hockey theme, here we go. Dancing with props is risky business. Nice. Nice. They have to be very creative in how they choose to use it. Nice. Ooh. My goodness gracious. Yeah. Okay. Okay, not as clean on this tail end though. Woo! Hey! Wow. That was tough. Okay, I think Royal Brats will probably get audience vote for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a little note of that. Because remember, that's not really gonna be off of analytics. It's gonna go off of preference. I think that one. I think the audience related to that one more, or enjoyed the entertainment value of that one more. It also had more complexity in some of their setups and transitions, but they were not as clean as I feel like they needed to be super, super competitive against DYM when it comes to your judges. So, from the top, here we go. I really like this. This track was sick, too. I love it. Walking forward, I'm assuming it's all the, forgive me if I'm wrong, I'm assuming it's all the men of the team, or at least 8 of the men on the team, because I know there's ladies represented with Royal Brats. That would make sense because it's called Iceman. This is a freaking sick track. Boom, dun, dun, dun. Love that. He's like, let's vibe it. Now, notice that he slid that prop out. That was not supposed to happen. Hitting it down, doon, 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 and boom. It's going to be way more definite riding on that bass. So that'd be a little note that I would give there. Then we're switching it down. Boom, doon, doon, doon. Nice. And then just a side note, too. If you've watched D.LEAGUE, and the reason why you got into it was because of me, thank you so much for the support. But somebody that we need to thank would be Junpei right here from ROYALBRATS, as well as, oh my gosh, I think Shiggy too. I think Shiggy's also with ROYALBRATS. I'm not sure. Those two, and then as well as from Katakawa. Oh my gosh, his name always escapes me whenever I'm trying to say thank you of the fact that he was a part of it. Not important. We'll cover it whenever we get there. Yeah, we'll see him eventually. But they're the reason why we're watching D.LEAGUE. So I've seen excerpts of Junpei. I actually like Junpei's choreo just in general. So it's really cool to know that he is on one of the teams here. Rightfully so. Some of these sequences are freaking sick. But anyway, they're going into the hurdle. Really nice. Digging it down, pulling with the dig. Really fun to see that. Getting ready with the prop. Now here's the thing, when you deal with the prop, they're going to have high expectations, or you got to be able to use it well, but also showcase it in a different way that's going to be captivating for us as an audience. Switching it down, boom. Notice that one of them chose to drop and some chose to raise, so that'll be something, refine your prop. It's really, it's an extension of you as a person. So notice how clean these lines are, but how not clean this one is. Very dead giveaway, so that'd be an overall note here. Also, some of the refinements, some are angling more towards the outside, some are angling towards the front. That would be something to clarify as well. I like that there, where he goes, he hits it, and he's like, oh wait, boom, boom. Really nice, so we elevated the energy. Love that everybody, you know, is kind of vibing through really great imagery of playing hockey. And they all kind of get to do their own thing. They look such a freaking vibe, not gonna lie. I love it with the head rotation, the building it up, using the stats, really fun. Bringing it around, have a nice viral new school, like trendy kind of aesthetic about it, really fun. Notice they're all hitting around the same type of range, that swing, swing, they throw, they have to catch it. So I would say one of them, if they caught it at the exact same time, would be awesome, but they didn't, which can, you know, affect timing, but they get right into it. Really nice to see. So they have to hold it down, make sure that these sticks are exactly where they need to be. His is a little bit more diagonal when it needs to look more vertical. Little things. Here's the thing. What's funny is as I'm recording this, I just got done cleaning a rehearsal where we have canes in one of our routines. Oh boy, when you work with canes, it's so similar to this. They're just shorter, and same issues. Like, I swear to you, how you hold it, you compared to somebody else, will affect how the angle looks and how far away it is from your body. It's just such a, it can be so rewarding. It's a high risk, high reward, you know, and there's more times where it won't work versus what it will. You know, I do feel like we could have really worked on having cleaner, you know, cleaner usage of the sticks. Golly, I can't speak, but it's still really, really nice. Just see, love the pull through, love that they go and they take it, they hit with a dig, digga digga ah with the heel toe. I love that doom doom, love the interruption, hitting it through. Now their song really helped them more on the progressions of the style representation in comparison to Messengers. But Messengers got essence and authenticity on their side, for real, for real. So that's a really tough act to beat. Look, the energy and how they hit this with the heel. The hit. Notice the sticks aren't quite as clean. This right here was really nice and straight. I love that kickball change situation, and he just has a little glitch effect. To do it again with an add-on, they all swing to the other side. Really nice to see that energy here. And switch it. Da-da-da-da-da, really nice ride the words. I love the sliding. Usage of glides to really help placate that we are on ice. Formation's just a little bit off. Notice one of them's a little over to the side. That part was freaking sick. He goes hit, there's tension, and then they just slide like freaking penguins. We gotta see that one more time. Oh my god, that's probably one of my favorite parts of the whole thing. For real. And that right there, boom, boom. And then they go 1, 2, 3, 4. Really nice on the groove of this. And let that hit the doom doom with the double. Backwards roll, really nice. One of them got up a little too late. I like that they're skiing here with the sticks. Super fun. Honestly, they did a great job. Didn't catch it either times. How they disposed of the sticks. Really nice. So that's a tricky thing too. I would say his second stick, I know he was pointing it. I just make it very clear what each stick's job is. That's going to help us as viewers understand it. Knowing that he's using the sticks to control everybody. It would really help. They take it, they bring it over, they bring it up. He said, hey, I love this right here. This was sick. And the transition lighting really helped. They melt into it. Boom, doom, doom with the head. Gorgeous. Love that little boom. Nice with the dig through. They know how to write a beat. They really do. And for me, it is a toss-up of like, I can see the judges going with either for different reasons, just based on the past context. For me, I think audience, I feel much more stronger on how audience will vote. I'll be shocked if they do not vote Royal Brats as the winner for 2 reasons. Because their set is more digestible and more entertaining in the concept, because I know concept matters in this show circuit. But also they are cleaner than what we saw from DYM. DYM definitely improved in their cleanliness, but they're not quite at that level the way Value and Affinities demonstrated their routine. So there's a chance that Royal Brats could probably still take it on the judges' side because of some of their choices they made within the concept, but I also know I'm about 2 seasons behind, right? And I'm not really, I would love to go and watch the other ones, but these are so dense and me just doing per match. Then my goal is just to catch up right now, and then we'll see if we can dive back into old seasons later on. But all that to say, I don't know if this type of concept's been entertained before with the usage of a prop like this. Not sure. And that can affect whether or not the creativity of this is going to be affected. So just kind of putting that out there too. It's like, it really could swing either way for different reasons. I'll give like my final verdict of how I think it's going to go. Like it doesn't really matter, but it's just more so for fun for us. Once we're like finished through this, really like the music change of this though. They do have a sense of not predictable choices made, but there's a sense of familiarity behind a lot of their movements, but it's because of just the exposure that we have to seeing a lot of these moves in their inception form on social media. They chose to heavily vary them and really ride the music in a very interesting way. I do feel that it would feel very satisfying if we did know this track prior to them performing it. They would have met our expectations, I think is another way I could put it on the musicality side. Really nice to see. I love that energy there. Doom, 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 doom. Hitting it around. Boom, boom, boom. Doom, 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 drop. I love that boom hit. Ha ha. I don't know if everybody quite committed to that. Sliding it through. I love this here. Boom. Right there into the dig. So they honestly did a really good job of integrating the style, like that new school viral style. Like a lot of these transitions. He had a little bit of City Boy rock in there. City Boy shuffle. City Boy shuffle. My goodness. A little bit of that. A little bit of, what is it? I don't know if it was the woo walk, but it's something that you would see in Get Sturdies nowadays. You've seen a little bit of that kind of variant over here, and how they progressed it was really nice. So you see a lot of familiarity, so it can apply to the younger generations very well. It's relevant to the new time. So it's like old school versus new school is really what we're looking at right here. What are judges going to go with? I don't know. I'm very curious about that. I love hitting that down. Boom, right there into the nay-nay. Right there. Boom, 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 boom. Brought it up. Love the energy. Swinging it through. Boom. Ta, 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 ta. Really nice on the beat. Hitting it through right there. Love that. Swinging it through. That was fun. Do I feel like we could have made a more creative choice outside of just the back layout? Yeah. What's funny though is it's still a back layout. It's great. It's super cool. It's a backflip, right? But, because of the caliber of the type of competition this is, they do a round up, back handspring layout. Cool. But doing something more gimmicky or in tailoring to the track outside of just a typical kind of gymnastics move would have really set that apart, because a great example would be Katakawa Dreams from last round when they did that, and he did a round back handspring, then he had this extra accent that happened in the flip. That is what just sent it for a lot of us, myself included. And so I feel like that, something like that being added into that, I think would have really enhanced that section more so than how it was. It was just kind of like, okay, cool, not a yo, just the emotional pull was not quite there for that section. Yeah, dun, dun, dun. Formations are looking totally fine. I love that hit around. Notice some of them are choosing to pull extra tension as they drop down, so that'll be an overall note. Yeah, I see. It is nice how they chose to progress that, and they kind of bleed through the ISOs. Yeah, really nice to see that. Energy, everybody's kind of partying themselves. 2 and 3. I love this. I just love how they're bouncing, but they're not adding an extra bounce in the upper body. It's just chop it, that. So there's a bounce happening. It's just so subtle. I love this. This is the Junpei section for sure. Doom, doom, doom. I love that ISO switch. Super nice. They go in. Doom, doom, doom. Do I feel like they had a lot of unison? I would say yeah, a little bit more than I was expecting, but it still looks really nice. And what they're doing is they're definitely elevating the level of synchronicity in comparison to the two. They should take synchronicity and skill set for sure, but authenticity of pocket is still going to go to Messengers. I'll tell you what, hitting it around somebody was a little bit too early on that pullback. Have their own thing, switching it down. I love this doom doom doom. I love that where they go down and they go tap tap up. Love that. Really great way to finish it off. Super fun. Who do I think will take this? Audience, Royal Brats for sure. I have no freaking clue who these judges are, so I do not know their preferences for this round. It does change every round. We do have some judges that overlap on multiple rounds. I have no freaking clue. I will put it this way. If we have the judges from last round, like all of them, really high chance that DYM could possibly pull it from judges. For me, going off of when you look at the full picture, I think Royal Brats, their performance was, personally though, you shouldn't really do a compare and contrast between the two. If you adjudicate them both objectively based on your criteria that you're given, then it's not going to matter who wins or who loses. It's who took, who scored higher on each category per judge, and that's who gets the item. So for this one, I'm not actually going to vote who the judges would pick because I don't know who the judges are, and that would affect and refine my feedback. And also too, I forgot what the actual criteria was for this. I did screenshot it at one point and do a translator on it. I just forgot. So maybe after this match, I'll probably look, and so I can have a better understanding of what they're being judged on, so I can be even more accurate. Because that was pretty good last round, but I wasn't as good as I wanted to be. So, but my vote for audience should go to Royal Brats for this. But let's watch the judges' commentary. Ooh, we have a new person. Ooh, who will they give it to? Brats should take. They should take audience.
First match.
DYM may take it. I don't know. Or it could be a shutout. I have no freaking clue. Knew that. Yep. See, what did I tell y'all? What did I freaking tell y'all? My goodness, I told y'all judges may go DYM because they appreciate the overall pocket and aesthetic of the group. Audience is going to take Royal Brats. Oh, that makes me feel so good that I understand the format of this. Woo!
まず DYM の方なんですけれども、音がとにかく遊び心がある音で、音の粒が楽譜で言ったらすごく飛び抜けているような感じの音取りなんですけれども、なんかそれを心地よく表現する、ダンスしちゃうっていうところが面白いし素晴らしいし、やっぱりそれだけ音と一体になっているからできるっていう、スキルをすごく感じました。構成だったりとかっていうのがもうとにかく奇想天外トリッキーな部分が多くて、で私が一番印象的だったのがですね、ジッパーを下ろすみたいな音からのソロの入り、ジッパーの音だったかちょっと分かんないんですけど、でもそういう風に見えて遊び心がもういろんなところに散りばめられたショーだったなと思って、音と遊ぶ、でもダンスっていうものを本当にもう全面的に表現していて、作品なんだけれどもショーがもう遊びいっぱいで、自分たちも楽しんでるし、もう音も喜んでるしダンスも喜んでるしみたいな、その中で、最初の始まりと最後の終わりが一つのところに集まってくるっていう、抽象的だけれども自分でそのストーリーを想像していいんだよみたいな、なんかそんな自由さを感じる作品だった。VR ブラッツですね。アイスホッケーということで、そのコスチュームも肩パッドが入っているような感じで、でもやりすぎずカジュアルなダンスのショーとしてのその動きやすさだったりとか、ダンスを殺さない肩パッドの入りだったりとか、そのバランスもとても良くて。
She was saying that it looked like they had shoulder pads but it didn't sacrifice the integrity of the routine. Synchronization was really nice.
畳みかけてるようなスピード感と見応えっていうものをとても感じて、下手にひょいっと動いてからの流れで、まあラストに向けてのなんかもうバウンスバウンスバウンスバウンスバウンスバウンスバウンスバウンスみたいな畳みかけで終わっていくっていうところで、本当にもうショーが全てまとまっているし、あっという間でした。まとまりだったりとか作品の完成度としてとても好きだったので、ロイヤルブラッツの方に入れさせていただきました。
Shinichi.
Whoa!
1 point difference, I tell ya. This is the theme this time.
ファットビートだったりファットなダンスだったりいろいろイメージはあると思うんですけど、今回メンバーの拓也を生かしたショーだったんですけど、
Okay. Oh, I just learned something new. Fat.
ソロでがっちり
It's in fat beat.
掴んだまま
I don't think I've ever heard that term before.
どんどん飲み込んでいく流れが結構圧巻でしたね。他のメンバーのソロもねすごい効果的だったし、構成もいろんな展開が目まぐるしくてバリエーションも豊かだったし、すごい面白かったと思います。最後までがっちり掴んだまま素晴らしいショーだったと思います。メッセンジャーズ結構2試合ぐらいしかしてないですけども、なんか自分たちの感触を掴んできたなっていう印象があります。で、対するロイヤルブラッツなんですけど、ホッケーをテーマにしたダンスでスケーティングの動きだったりとか、そういうのをうまく取り入れたダンスがすごいとても面白くて、彼らも結構コメディのね。
I would say my in general note that I wish with these adjudications there'd be a bigger point discrepancy. Like the 1 point, okay, cool, yeah, a lot of these are really great in caliber. There should be a bigger separation between, besides 1 point, in some of the criteria, personally, you know, because with one group synchronicity should be significantly higher. In this case, one group synchronicity should be at least 2 points, maybe 3 points higher than the other groups. But we don't see that. You know what I mean? Because look, 8, 9. Yeah.
まず、彼らの一人一人の存在感に、もう胸打たれてしまい。
For her, she typically caters to the concept really, really heavy compared to a lot of the other judges. Do I appreciate that? Debatable. I don't feel like it's as justified to just go off of concepts. But when you do with high caliber competition, though, I understand.
ソロをされる際に曲調がちょっとジャジーな感じに変わって、で雰囲気が一気にそこでガラッと引き込ませてくれる新たな見せ方をしてくれた流れで、下手側で空気が一気に変わるちょっとローな感じになって、こう上手に向かって進んでいくあの瞬間が私の中ではすごく、インパクトがあって、世界観もすごく好きでした。で、ラストのまたさらに畳みかけでヒップホップで、攻め切ってラスト真ん中にグッと、最初のフォーメーションに戻って見えないものをグッとこう一つに見せる。
They still need to work on their range of motion, of their movement, like getting it all on the same page. Because this is a group competition and it's not a solo competition.
思いました。対するavex ロイヤルブラッツさんのこのアイスホッケーをテーマに作られていた、どんな感じで来るのかなと本当に期待をして、一気に空気が変わったんですよね。そのメッセンジャーズさんからのあの空気から一気に私たちを楽しませてくれる空間を作ってくれて、どこまでダンスで見せ切ってくれるかなと思ったんですけれど、あらなく最初から最後まで
Such great syncopation in that beginning. It's
しっか
fun.
りできていて、なおかつステップが
So what's gonna have to happen is for any matchups that happen in the future, they're gonna have to be very wary.
ステップでこう広がって、
Yeah, I love that. So it gets bigger,
なおかつ
super
アイ
fun.
スホッケーの動き
they're gonna have to be wary. They can't go with a new school concept against an old school crew like DYM. They're gonna have to go with like something super abstract, like what Kanakawa did, you know.
動かすムーブが私の中ではインパクトがあって、ラストの畳みかけのステップの前に一回グルーヴが入るんですよね、上手側で。あの時もなんかもう自然と手を挙げてフーってなるような気持ちをしっかり掴んでくれるところからのラストのステップの畳みかけで、私は結構ハートを持っていかれました。一番インパクトがあって好きだったところがアクロバットをした延長でアイスホッケーのスティックも一緒にこう動かしながらやっていたのが
I like the usage of the stick. I still stand by what I said though, is they could have varied up that gymnastics trick for sure.
本当に、見れて楽しかったです。はい、で、私は DYM メッセンジャーズさんに入れさせていただきました。
僕は DYM メッセンジャーズに票を入れました。まず DYM メッセンジャーズからなんですけど、いやーかっこよかったですね。まず何よりまずロックチームが2人かな踊って、でその次に、ブレイクの
I wonder
ちょっとフロアの合わせがあって、
these
でその後
crews
2人もう一回
listen
踊った
to
後に
these.
全員でダウンの、ノリで合わせる部分が
That'd
あ
be
ったん
so
ですけど、
interesting if they do and they
その時も
actually take notes.
なんか波動というかちょっと遠いところから見てるんですけど、全員のパワーが伝わるっていうか。
That's right. Remember, we get front row seating to
と
these concepts coming to life. They're in the back of the room. So, and that
ゲ
does hit different.
ゲッの時に全員でこうパッてストップしたりとか、ずっとグルーヴしてるわけじゃなくて、その中でもこうパッて止まる部分があったりとか、こう空間を締めるメリハリも良かったと思いますし、あとはもう終盤ですかね、全員がこうドラムとかベースの、ビートの上で踊ってる中で、3人かながピロピロっていうところでこう音を取って、で今度はそれがまたその人たちがビートに戻ってまた違う人たちがピロピロに合わせてみたいな、なんかそういうなんかギミックというか構成も一本筋が通って、なんかブレることなく最後にという印象です。対して
Without getting confused. Yeah, so their structure and how they chose to go about the track. Very, very nice.
勝手な
First time as a D.LEAGUE judge.
ROYALBRATSのイメージがあったんですけど、まずびっくりしたのが、こんななんかダンス感が強い作品もいけるんだっていうのがまず一個びっくりしました。
Did you hear what he said?
全員の高さという。
I could be. I'm gonna have to stop it. So what he said, I don't. Okay, so this is something that I've had to work through as a judge myself, just different circuit, of course. Depending on like the names of these groups or like who's a known group or not, that should not affect your score at all. Because remember, you're judging off of criteria, not off of name, right? Audience is really the most subjective point that can be given or should be given. But we are noticing with some of these judges, they're not approaching it as objectively as they need to, such as with, I believe in this case, she was judge 3. So it was our World of Dance 2017, that woman. I like her articulation. I like how she expresses herself. However, for me, knowing just watching her from round 2, I'm not as big of a fan of making concept or how it makes you feel as a sense of justification. It doesn't matter if I liked it or I didn't like it. There's 5 different categories within that. You know, I'm not an audience member, you know, so I think it's very important that I have to be able to judge all of the particular categories objectively. You know, like I said, I still don't know if they wait to judge until they see both groups. If that's the case, I would hope if D.LEAGUE ever watches this, I hope they change that, because I don't think that's appropriate way to adjudicate the scoring of these. That's an audience thing. That is not, should be for a judge's thing. For us, I'm not allowed to let my score be affected on what just happened before. My feedback also, it can't be in comparison between the two groups, but I also know these are matches and they are going against each other. I, however, still believe if you're going to be as objective as you can be as a judge, you judging one based on the criteria that's given, based on your scope as a judge and how you were trained. I don't know if they're trained or anything on this, versus what you give in the second one. They, you know, it should be they should be able to hold their own in their own right. You shouldn't be like, okay, I've watched both, I like them to win, so I'm gonna score them to where, oh, it's close, but they're gonna pull out. No, it shouldn't be that way. You're not audience member. You don't get to just throw in a towel and be like, okay, I vote for them. It shouldn't be that way as a judge, and I'm really hoping that is not the case. It is hard to know because I don't know with the rules that kind of structure with the judging, but if that is happening, D.LEAGUE, that needs to change because that is not an appropriate way to be objective in your scoring. But my whole point here, though, is he was saying that for him, he is his first time judging D.LEAGUE. Okay, cool. Really cool that he has this opportunity. If I ever judge D.LEAGUE, oh my god. Super, it may turn into a bucket list thing in my life. I don't know. I am a very, very white woman who does not know a lick of Japanese, so maybe that'll never happen. That is okay. I am totally fine with being a commentator here with you guys. Totally fine with that. But just this whole thing, though, about him saying he has a particular image of the group, and he was surprised, by this, that, and the other. You just have to be very careful with that, because if you're going to have an expectation of what a group's supposed to bring to the table and they don't meet that, you're not technically following the criteria that you're adjudicating them on. You're going off of your personal preference and your own personal criteria, and that's not your job as a judge, right? If that was the case, then we would have you in the audience and you can vote and place your vote, this, that, and the other. If they disappointed you this week, okay, vote for the other team. But as a judge, it's say, okay, what do they bring this week? Because everybody brings high caliber anyway, even if it's disappointing or even if it's superb. You can't just look at a group, regardless of how big of a name they are or how popular they are, and be like, okay, here's our expectation. Oh, they didn't meet that, so they're going to get scored really low this time because they didn't meet their own expectations. That's not appropriate. If they still scored, let's say, and this is why you need to integrate decimals. I also think the whole numbers makes it too close in some of the categories. You shouldn't really be this close. And when you integrate decimals, it makes it a little bit easier to separate, but also makes it more complicated. So I get it. So there's always room for improvement in all criteria basis, but that's just my general note about that. He just has to be very careful as a judge to not let his perspective on what to expect from groups determine how he scores them. And I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but that's something that's a really slippery slope if you're not careful.
てる時の揃い方もすごいし、スティックを使いながらダンサーをパックに見立ててやるような構成も、このアイスメンっていうこのそういうテーマを使ってるっていうのが分かりやすくなりましたし、アクロバットからの全員最後畳みかけでグワッて持っていく感じもパワー伝わってよかったし、最初のあれもちょっと裏切られましたよね。はい、来るって時にセリフが来ると思ったでしょみたいな一個それ裏切りというかあったと思うんですけど、そこもなんかちょっとなんかいい裏切り来るなみたいなで引き込まれて、本当あっという間に2分過ぎたなっていう感じで終わったんですけど、全体のルーティンをベースに、さっき言いましたけどアクロバットだったりちょっと人数を増やしたり減らしたりして見せてた部分が多いと思うんですけど、僕個人的な意見で言うとソロとまでいかなくてもいいけど、なんかもうちょっと個人のスキルとか特性が立つような場面があると、個人的にはより良かったかなっていうふうに思いました。
That's something like if he reworded that, of course it could be a translation thing. If he reworded that, I think it would be very constructive, because his point, he said, in my personal opinion, okay, I wish that there were more individual moments. If you take out the personal opinion part and be like, I feel that this routine would have scored more effectively. Like, you remember, he's still a judge in this case. He's not a fan. He's not a spectator. He's a judge. So you have to be careful even with your wording. But also, once again, we can't chalk it up to translation. Be very mindful of, if you say, in my personal opinion, it shouldn't matter about my personal opinion. If I'm following a criteria, the criteria is supposed to be objective. My opinion is not objective, it is subjective. So if I'm going to sit here and say, in my personal opinion, I wish that there were more features, then for me, it's when they had no chance of winning, regardless if it was perfect in synchronicity. It's kind of going to downplay my own competency and how I choose to adjudicate it and how people view my own perspective in that role. Not in general, because remember, I'm an analyst. I'm more of a commentator here. In this case, I am not a judge. For me, I'm trying to be in the brain and mindset. How would the judges judge this? An audience, I think I have a way better understanding of how an audience would judge it. But I know for me, who I would personally pick too, it's different. But I also know too, once I get the criteria, and I actually itemized it on my paper, I'm gonna really know this team should win this category, this team should win this category. Like, I'll even go that deep. But all that to say, going back to his point, if he refined the phrasing, if this is the translation is close, which is doubtful, if he said, you know, I really feel like if they allowed more moments to feature with framing or other members, you know, showcasing in a different way to help complement that, I think this one would have scored more effectively. That would be a really great way to word it, because I can agree with that. I do think there was an abnormally a lot of unison in this. But, you know, but once again, though, was the unison downplaying all the other criterias? Personally, I mean, at this point, I don't think so. I think they definitely used it to their advantage. They did a lot of dynamics to help with that, you know, but I think that's just my general note with this judge. I'm very hopeful. I liked his range in scoring, though. It was definitely more diverse than the other ones. But my note still remains the same. I'm hopeful that he's able to grow in that area and not in the future matches. Hopefully, he doesn't say my personal opinion, because at the end of the day, your personal opinion shouldn't matter as a judge.
両方いい作品で結構迷ったんですけど、僕は、DYM メッセンジャーズさん
But I
の方に票
chose.
を選びました。
So they have to choose? That's what it sounds like, right? That they choose out of the
私は
two.
DYM メッセンジャーズに入れさせていただきました。このファットというテーマがすごくこうまとまっていて、個々が立ってるチームだと思うんですけど、作品もすごく見えやすくて、目がこう追いやすい、かつ皆さんのこう個々のスキルだったり個性っていうのが作品と一緒にまとまってる感じで見えやすくてとても良かったと思います。そしてavex ROYALBRATS、こちらのチームはですね、コレオグラフ力だったりとか、あとエンタメ性、テーマ性がとても強くて、ダンスこう知らない人にも伝わるようなチームだなって思ってるんですけど、今回このアイスホッケーというテーマにした作品がすごく面白かったのですが、やっぱりこういうテーマ性の作品をやるってすごいリスクもある部分
That I
だと思
can
うんですけ
agree
ど、
with. Yeah, when you
アイス
work
ホ
with a
ッケー個
theme.
人的にこう見たりするので、なんかもっともっと深掘りしてアイスホッケーのこう面白さだったりとか、こうプレーしてる様子だったり、もっともっとこうできたんじゃないかなと思って見てしまったのが正直なところだったんですけど、やっぱりこのチームのこう安定感だったりチーム力っていうのは、とても素晴らしいものだと思いますし、最後の畳みかけだったりとか作品の持っていき方っていうのにいつも刺激を
What she basically said just proved the entire point. This is why you can't objectively score concept. You can't.
作品も流れがとても良かった DYM メッセンジャーズさんに入れさせていただきました。
You know, and guys, yes, this just proves the point. Is there a way to objectively score concept? In theory, I think there is, but in how I've seen it done, there's a reason why we don't judge concept. We can't, because it goes back to her exact point. She was a little disappointed, you know, because in her context of what she knows of ice hockey, this is an ice hockey, this is a dance league, right? D.LEAGUE. So the concepts that we bring, okay, cool. The criteria needs to not involve concept, or performance doesn't need to involve concept. You know, in HHI, we separate performance and skill, and they get their own criteria, and we have half of the judges judge skill and half judge performance, because there's so much to look at, right? In order to really make sure we're objective about it. And even then, it is still hard when you have your own personal feelings involved in it, because we're human too, right? But we have to remember, it's not about how you feel about it. If you felt disappointed because the concept was off, well, what about all the other factors? You know, what about their cleanliness? What about their concept and how they set up in their formations? What about their range and their spacing and their stability and their complexity of the pockets that they chose to explore? Like, there's so many different facets. There's a reason why we have multiple categories, not just pick your winner. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, this would be better if this continues, is what I'm noticing. If this continues and they literally just choose and then they make their points, don't have points. Just be like, my vote was this team, you know? I do appreciate the fact that we have this opportunity to look at these judges' feedbacks, but I also know too, because I'm not fluent in Japanese, I don't know the full scope of their justification, and it's a little bit tricky for me whenever the translation says one thing and they may be meaning something different. So forgive me if I'm getting, you know, passionate about a particular concept that they were talking about and I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. And, you know, but that's just coming from my lens of empathy and firsthand knowledge of just the still very limited in scope of what I participated in for myself. So in general, do I agree that ROYALBRATS should have lost? It's debatable. It depends on who justifies it, right? I do feel that, honestly, what it's going to have to be is I may answer this question when I start match 2, because what I'm going to do is after I'm done with this, I'm going to take a screenshot of the actual criteria, and I'm going to do a little Google Translate, a little translation thing, and I'm going to write it out for me, just to make it easier for the future matches, so I know exactly what these judges are supposed to be looking at, so I can understand where they're coming from more from an empathetic lens. Because if I'm projecting what I'm used to with judging, that's not going to be fair to the judges nor to the competitors. So with that in mind, this was still a freaking great match. Both held their own and it was really, really fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more D.LEAGUE, I always post it first on Patreon, and then I have it streamlined on a schedule onto YouTube. If you're an individual that loves just the conversation and just bringing different ideas to the table, I always appreciate comments, and I appreciate you expressing your perspective on it too. I'm always receptive to that, and I'm really open-minded with stuff like this. There's certain things that I'm pretty much just like, you know, we may chalk it up to a translation thing, and it's also a completely different league than what I'm exposed to or what I'm used to seeing. So that's really fun for me in this case, where I get to learn about an entirely new culture of adjudication and criteria and this, that, and the other. So it's really fun for me, and I'm hopeful that I get to meet more people who are fans of the show or the show circuit. I just expect really, really fun stuff with this. Once again, I am Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.